Welcome back to Everything HR's Culinary Conversations. Today we are welcoming Armen Saqe, owner and head chef of Jessica's Restaurant, who earned a spot in Yelp's top 100 restaurants 2 years in a row. The goal of the Culinary Conversations is to speak with leaders in the restaurant world to discuss the hardships and successes they've overcome in growing their businesses. Jessica's Restaurant, located in Fanwood, New Jersey, offers a delightful blend of Italian and French fusion cuisine with a focus on farm-to-table dining and seasonal ingredients. Known for its pastas, meats, seafood entrees, and house-made desserts, Jessica's provides a unique dining experience, recognized as one of Yelp's top 100 restaurants in the U.S. for 2 consecutive years. It has also been ranked among the top 50 places to eat in New Jersey and the top 15 new restaurants of 2019, making it both a local and national favorite. Armen, I'm so happy to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here with you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So we were able to speak a very little bit, before we started recording, and you were telling me a little bit more about your history as far as your work ethic was one big topic. And I think that's by itself really unique. The way that you are always working. You were saying that Monday today is your one day off. Essentially, you might take one day off to hang out with your family and things like that. But other than that, it's work. And because of your background, you find it as a normal part of life, like a normal way of living. So I would just love for you to introduce yourself a little bit about your background and kind of how you became the owner of Jessica's Restaurant.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. My name is Armen Saqe. I am originally from Albania. It's a very small country in Europe. I came to the United States when I was about 19 and a half years old. Back home, we always had these, it depends, even back home, also where you were brought up and what kind of family environment and work ethic. But personally, I was lucky to grow up in a family with humble beginnings, in fact, very humble beginnings. But what we had was something that now I find it, special, living here. We lived in a village, and back home, every time we visit my grandmother, she lived in an even more other part of the country, but it was more of a south. And when we traveled to see her, it was a rural, very deep village with everybody knew everybody, and it was more of agricultural place. In fact, my mother finished in school agriculture. She studied agriculture back home. So they always had in their house, my grandmother's house, always huge figs all around. There was grapes. She had planted in the very beginning when they built that house, plums, lemon, livestock, you name it. She had an outside oven. The bread was something not discussed. Everybody made their own bread, so when you're around that kind of environment and you always have these, smell all these fresh, delicious things, and you try them and it's like a beautiful, when you think back now, it's like a beautiful playground that you had, it was available to me at that time, but I didn't realize at 9, 10 till 14, 15 that I was going to be doing, chefing for a living. So it kind of prepares you down the road. Sometimes you don't even know, sometimes you just don't realize that that's the path you're going to take. But what it does for you is that I believe in this strongly, that any field that you go in a very young age, for me, it was the palate thing. It develops a palate. Once you eat that type of food, and like fresh plums, a good lemon, then you try a good fresh figs, pomegranates. These are things that we had in that garden. And not to mention making the olive oil thing that was, she had 70, 80 olive trees. We went, picked the olives. We made all feed olive oil. We put plastic bags in our feet, and would make our olive oil. And the rest you would branch off to people who had machines to do it. She would just sell the rest. But for us, we made our own. So your palate develops in good fresh ingredients, and it develops a particular. When you eat a fresh, for example, a fruit or a butter that we always made. We made goat cheese. So you know what it's supposed to taste like. You know how if it's fresh or no. You know that it has particular ingredients in it. It helps you. In other words, helps you pick up the right also products. Know the right products. So. In that way, I was lucky, I was lucky to be brought up in that environment. And now, coming back to US, when I looked at the way of, products here, was a way to find very good products, but they're very costly, very expensive. The part of the food that was being made was mostly to cater to even mostly restaurants, mostly to cater to numbers, like doing numbers and making this much money, making this amount of people every night, or they had certain goal to make the money. Now it's on you it's you who has to decide how much money you're content with, So if you're content, let's say you open the restaurant and you think, I'm not content with making this amount of money per week or profit for me, so I need to make this much money. So what you got to do is you got to advertise more, push more people, or go into find a bigger restaurant to fit more people, to do more parties. You've got to really in a way can maybe expand, or maybe make a menu that it's very practical, like a mass production. Anything that you go big in restaurant, and do big numbers just because of you want to make certain amount of money, which is nothing wrong. It's nothing wrong. You tend to lose the quality of the dishes, Now, someone may argue, well, if you keep it simple, I don't care how simple you keep it. And when the pressure comes in from 5:30, 6, everybody wants to eat at that time, 5:36 to 7:30, 8 o'clock, you've got to deliver. You don't deliver, you're finished. Period. There's no, and it's hard for you to look at every dish doing 150, 200 people a night, to make sure that the guy put the salt. You as a chef not going to be cooking all of it. It's impossible. So my point is that you have to make it. When I opened the place, I had to make it. Be content, in other words, with myself, and say that I'd like to have this small place, and I'd like to provide good quality stuff, make sure everything is checked, and I'm content with this much, with particular amount of money, and instead of working for somebody else, work for myself. I'm free to do what I want. I enjoy what I want, and I'm free to express in the menu the things that I want to do, So, and that's what I did. So, not that the other work environments I work were bad, it's just a different set of rules, different environment, and that's the way that those places that I work, they have set up themselves. Like I said, it's not wrong, but me doing something what I wanted to do, my goals were different. So I had to do a different setup, a different system, different way of customer relations. I had to approach the dishes that I would make differently. meaning they think differently on how to put the dishes, and most importantly, the quality of the product. So that's something that you cannot. It starts from there. That's the bottom line. So it starts from the quality of a product. You can be the greatest chef in the world, and if you get a product that a fish that's not good, not particularly fresh, a meat cut of meat that is not good, frankly speaking, people will notice. It's maybe some will not because they might not know about food, but most will. So and it's not really much of a rocket science to it. It's just the very basics of nature. It's gotta. There's a quote from Marco Pierre White. There's a chef. It's a British chef that this is the guy who trained Gordon Ramsay. I always look at his videos and his speeches, and one of the things he said is that Mother Nature is the true cook, the true artist. You're simply the cook, and I'm putting respect in those ingredients that Mother Nature has provided. So, in other words, he was talking about that, to cook the food right, to what I understood is cook the food right, respect the ingredients, don't waste it, make sure it's asparagus, look at it if it's supposed to be a good quality, check if it is a good quality, and you start from there. I mean, that's the basic of I think of making a dish, and you use techniques from there, Italian style, French style. Those are on your personal choice. That's nothing wrong. Mediterranean ideas. We have done pretty much a little bit of everything. So
I really, really like how much value you put into your history. I think that by itself is so interesting. Specifically for myself, I was the first of my family born here in the United States. All of my family was born in Cuba, and when I was younger, every summer I would go to Cuba for months at a time. And it wasn't really Havana. I usually spent most of my time in Camagüey, which if you go more into the city area, it's a very nice, very beautiful, a lot of greenery as you get a little bit farther out. But the places that my family came from and the places that I would stay at and visit for long times were very green. They still had, unpaved roads, a lot of, open sewage systems and things like that. Everyone rode a bike everywhere and things like
yep,
that. Horse-drawn carriage was normal. It's not like here where it's
yeah,
that history and just living in that environment is just so unique because you come here and everything is the exact opposite. Like you said, super, super well, it's all about the numbers, right? It's all about how much money can I make? The quality comes secondary to the
sure,
profits. And I think that
absolutely,
starting with the mindset of the quality is normal. This is, I
yeah,
have to work all the time. I have to have the highest quality. I know what the high quality ingredients seem like because I can go outside and pick a
yeah,
papaya and, just eat it. Those are all the examples of that I think is really,
yeah.
really valuable that I love that that's what you brought up as far as explaining your history.
I'm glad that you were in those kind of village areas where the roads are unpaved and others. I mean, brings back memories for me exactly when we went to see grandmother. It was one road to get in, one road out. Sometimes the bus has to wait in the corner of the road so the other car can pass by. So there was no that because the road was so small. Which it was normal for a lot of villages there, but it was a place where everybody knew everybody. You missed a little sugar. My grandmother didn't have sugar. She goes, go to the neighbor, get this cup filled with sugar, and tell her that I need sugar. So it was one of those very nice environment. Now regarding the regarding the work ethic, I mean, it was everybody was working. I mean, you grew up in that. It was like for you to just be hanging around and not doing thing, it kind of felt like not guilt, but kind of felt strange. You know, like everybody was working, even in the end was making some money, and you're like, you know, your some of your friends would come in. Oh, I worked this, I made this much money, and I gotta go buy this. I bought this nice shoes, and it was some kind of a beautiful reward, even though it was not much. It was just a pair of shoes that we would want it all the time. We would look at it in the store and oh damn it, you know. And I don't know if my parents did it on purpose or they couldn't afford. I have no idea. I mean, but looking back now, they don't talk about the but I'm thinking they maybe did it on purpose to encourage you. You want a pair of that? Do you want those? What you want? We're working hard. You can get these. These are more cheaper. I can buy you these, but you want those, and you got to go get. You got to go work for a little bit, you know, in summertime, or you got to go. And I'll get to that. But this is some of the things that also parents did, also to in a nice way. They were saying to us, "Look, if you want something, pretty much you've got to go and get it. If you want something nice, you know, there's no. I'm not here handing you this or that." And that's what. My mother was even more stricter. I mean, you know, my mother was the business type of managing the money in the house, and she was the more like Mr. Evil, you know, like. Um, So you go inside with the shoes, you know, and then she had kept the house clean, and you get inside with the shoes. You walk through the carpet with the shoes. Man, that was a big. It was like sometimes you get your ass kicked with that the rolling pin to do the dough.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, like, why? Just cleaned all day. I made lunch for you. You're walking in with the shoes out now. I mean, it was a rule. You know, it was so. The environment. And she would say, you want something? You want that bike? Well, then go work. Go work. Go to your uncle. Go work. Sell this, that. Sell ice cream. And then frankly, that's what we did, you know, and it was normal for a lot of guys my age to back then, you know, at 12, 13, 14 till all the summers from 12 years old to we worked. It was just my uncle had like I mentioned ice cream because my uncle had an ice cream shop, and you know, we would go in, make ice cream, sell the ice cream. His store is right in the center of the beach, like in the sand. And I would go in. Finally, after the first year, I got buy a little motorcycle, and the next year I was using the motorcycle to go, and I didn't use the bus anymore. But made ice cream, made like little like nice fresh burgers they used to make. We used to put them in a little hot panini bread, like a little rolls. I would sell them on the beach. I would make frozen ices, ice cream, put them in a cooler, and go quickly around the umbrellas in the sand, just trying to sell them. I mean, every summer we did something like that, and part of the summer we went to visit my grandmother, like we were talking in a village. Even there, we did work. We went to pick up fruits, pick up this, do that. It was always something around the house in the village to do, and she put us to work. So she put us to work. I don't think it was abuse. Now maybe because now people here would think it's like it's abuse at that age. You're supposed to be studying. We were studying. Some of my cousins were good at studying. They stick to that. I was not. I was not good at that. I found it boring. It didn't interest me, and that was that. So, but we had fun. I mean, all I remember was that I worked in a young age, and I had fun, and I ate this fresh, delicious food, and I made a little bit of money, and it all those experiences helped me a lot when I moved to the United States, like in a huge way. Also, I have to say that here, um, also I worked in a couple of places where also the chefs were very good. They were had very good work ethic. They were strict. They and I learned that Italian and French techniques about how to work on ingredients. So that's why you see in a restaurant now it says French fusion.
Mhm.
But it's a very in the end, if you stick to it, in the end, it's rewarding. If you start in a young age, and you move so much ahead. I mean, if you start early, you move so much ahead. Is incredible, um, and I and it's not for everybody, of course. I mean, it's not something that everybody would enjoy doing, but it requires a lot of patience. I mean, incredible amount of patience. You have to mentally think, when I open the business, I am content. Even though I don't make money for the 6 months, I'm fine. You have to be prepared ahead of time, mentally, emotionally. Now you'd say how you do that. You do that through talking to the right people, hanging out with the right people in the industry. I, personally came from my background back home mostly. But even here, you hang out with people that are determined, that are encouraging, that want to help, that they will push you to achieve those things. You hang out with the wrong people. Industry is very difficult in itself. And the last thing you want is being around negative people, and being around people who, if maybe, I don't know, you should this, you need people that, that's what your dream is. Give it a shot. But I am all for that. But the reason I say but is because you have to also know what the heck you're doing before going into something. You can't just, this is my dream, my hobby, and I want to make it a living. That's fine. But you must really do research and work on yourself first. And then you go out to the world, because it's difficult out there, and you're going to get encountered to a whole bunch of people. So you must be determined, strong, to, no matter what the circumstances are, to push forward. And you're going to be the leader of the ship. Like, you're going to be the captain of the ship. You as a captain are delusional, drunk. You don't know what, and then the ship is going to go with the direction with no GPS. And unfortunately, I've seen some of that in some people in life. There's no direction in where they're going, and it's like a GPS that's going, but nobody put the direction, the point of destination. It's just crazy. So I believe that in this country is a country of opportunities, and I think everyone should follow their dreams. But that doesn't mean that before that you just have a dream and then just looked at a couple of shows about it, and then now you just want to do your own. You really have to, do research, go work for somebody in that field, see how you like it. I liked it back home because it was my uncle's store, but I worked for other people, but I had to even prove it here that, do I like it here in this environment, in this, with this laws, with this, and I did that, and I tried that, and I said, you know what, I think it's great, and I want to do it.
Awesome. No, I definitely love it. I love the beginning of that as far as the mindset. I think that's really, really powerful all in itself, because you're absolutely right. Our parents or whoever our parental figures are, they're the ones that really instill the mindset. It's based off your environment and based off your education, right? Who do you have around you? Who are the people that are either pushing you forward or pulling you back? And then finding out, like, is this what I like? Actually going through the steps. It's really, really easy to have an idea and say, I'm going to be rich or I'm going to do whatever. But then actually putting it into practice is a completely different story. So I absolutely love that idea there. And then, do you mind breaking down a little bit more into how exactly you got the skills? Like, were you in the restaurant space back, around 19 years old, or when did you really find that like the culinary was the way and the direction that you wanted to go? And then how did you gain those skills? Like, do you mind telling a little bit about the restaurants that you worked at, and then maybe also how someone else could potentially get into the field?
Well, yeah, of course. The was when I arrived here, I worked in like a very traditional pizzeria in New York, New Jersey style pizzerias, with the front counter, garlic nuts, Sicilian pies, trombolis, and whatnot. It was chicken parmesan, all of that stuff, baked ziti, and it was that's what I encountered at the first sight. And I mean, I found it a bit like different, that the way that food was being made. It was kind of like getting ready to prep first and then have it ready to sell because it was peak time. So you had to kind of get ready ahead of time and make sure the sauces were done and all of that stuff, the pasta, and kind of was pre-cooked. And I mean, the first place I worked is it was actually in a pizzeria in Irvington, Big Joe's, and I worked there as I started doing all kinds of things, a little bit in the kitchen, a little bit delivery, a little bit, I mean, whatever I was needed, so it was not. And then from there, there's a guy from my country there, and he was also teaching me a lot of things, how to make pizza dough. He's been doing it for a very long time. How to, what the sauce they use for pizza. There was a different sauce they used for the pasta, and one was cooked, one was not cooked, one was many like things like that about terms of pizza, what cheese to use, what kind of mixing of cheese so it doesn't get too greasy, and how long the dough stays out so it becomes crispy and so forth. And when it has to go in the fridge, a certain amount of time, it stays outside before it goes in the fridge. So, but then when it comes to more deeper culinary, I worked with a Sicilian chef, Tommy. He'd had places in New York. It's where his father worked in a very high end in New York, Cafe Rossini. It was very popular back then. They had places in Staten Island, I believe. No, Brooklyn. They were from Brooklyn. I'm sorry, Brooklyn. And then from Brooklyn, they moved to New Jersey, and then they had several places in New Jersey. So I worked with him and learned more of a proper cooking of like making Italian, more of a Sicilian style things, because in Italy there is many region and everybody's proud of their way of doing things, which is a good thing. But he was more into a little bit more into the fine dining in terms of cooking, not just pizza. He did actual dishes, oreganata, and franchise, that it was, I mean, still is, I think, now popular in a lot of places. Sicilian style stuffed chicken with shrimp, with lemon caper. I mean, this is some of the dishes I remember that it looked different to me. But it definitely was different at the places that different than what I have seen back home. Back home is more Mediterranean style. It's like baked pies and in the oven, fermented stuff. Make grappa here, make fig jam there, make cheese, that's, we had like dishes, but it was like stews, and it was baked rice with lamb, and you know, things like that. Here were more um, individual dishes, and you had to make them on the spot. You had to have the product, make it on the spot. You had to learn how to pan sear. You had to learn how to saute on the spot, how to have vegetables just ready to be clean next to your station, and have them like ready to make a dish on the moment, like right there. So that was what I enjoyed learning. The Italian way of doing certain things, making particular paninis, making the way you slice the prosciutto. I learned quite a lot in the place that I worked with. It was. It seemed, now when I look back, it was basic, but back then it was very, very helpful. And you start from the basics. You start from the bottom, and so that way you layer up foundations upon foundations, and you don't go crazy on learning something that you don't understand without finishing other steps. And definitely there were steps that you had to go through. Like I said, learning the basics of each, like knowing how to slice in a machine, knowing how to slice with knife, knowing how to cut the onions with knife so you don't get hurt, how to cut carrot, how to cut a vegetable, how to poach a vegetable, how to, how to work in a safe environment in the kitchen. Those are things that, and it's based also on the kitchen that you are in. Sometimes some kitchens are very small and it's crazy to work, but you have to adjust. You have to do it, and you have to pay attention all the time where you are. You really have to keep notes. I'd keep notes. I was writing things I would keep my note right there. I'd finish that task and I'd go and write down, and this is how you make the meatballs. That's what but before, the technique says before you have to put this ingredient, then mix it because it tenderizes the meat, and then you put the rest, you let it rest for a little bit, and then you put the other ingredients. So that's how the process is for each thing, so that you learn that and you write down, and that's how you learn. Those are learning the techniques, and learning the way things are done. Like you put particular ingredients first, and then later is the rest, and it's a reason for that. So that's the way you should learn things, by order. And when you do that, then you do that often enough, and then that's how you absorb knowledge. That's how you stays in you. You go look back at your notes again and see if you got it right, and then you move on to the next thing that you want to learn. For example, learning how to work with. In the French restaurant where I work with Chef Umberto at Lorena's. I didn't work there for too long because of financial situations back then, but it was about almost 2 years. So it was more of a French technique, classic French. I really learned a lot there. I knew some from the Italian concept side of it, like making, the working more into the like sauces and meatballs and rice balls and pizza dough and how to, in a way, make dishes that are on the spot, like more in a quick way. But in a French restaurant, a variety in Italian cuisine is like, it was more things that we had to make, way more variety of things. In French restaurant was more narrowed down, controlled. The menu was changing, and it was very precise. You had to be uh, on on point. Otherwise, the sauce would break. For example, especially the sauces with cream, you had to really like pay attention, but you didn't have to make so many dishes. Also, I my dog. Hey, sorry, quiet. So, sorry.
No worries.
Which was very interesting because I now was learning from both side of the of cooking, in Italian cooking and French cooking, and I thought this is interesting because in French cuisine it was about poaching the vegetables just right. It was about slicing the vegetables that had to go into that dish equally. Now, you would say, "Oh, why is that so important?" Because if you put those two vegetables in that when you saute them and when you poach them or whatever, one vegetable is cut bigger than the other. One's going to cook more. One's going to cook less. So when you put them in a dish now together, one is crunchy, one is mushy.
Mm.
So this goes for many other things, in the cooking. So especially in French cooking, it's precise. So then you don't do that. I mean, so it has to be equally the same, and that's why you had to do everything correct, the same. Neat, organized. You had to make sure that when you make a sauce, you had to pay attention into it so it won't break. French cooking is, if you do it right, is amazing. You mess it up wrong, it becomes ugly. Like it's something that you don't want to eat. That's why you have to you had to be more careful. I learned how to bake few things there. I learned the ideas of what fish and what vegetable goes well with what. What meat to use, what fish to use in this season, what to use in summer, what to use in winter, what protein would go best mixed with what kind of vegetables they would go. And then you see what's in season and what that product tastes, and you match it with a protein that you say, oh, you know what? This fish is a little bit fatty, for example, right? So you take Chilean sea bass, for example. It's a bit more on a fatty, it's very rich. So you've got to pair that now with a sauce that it's not rich. So it's like a balance. And a vegetable that would give a little bit of sweetness. The sauce would give a little bit of acidity, and then you have the richness of the fish. So you've got them all together now, in one dish. And that's what you actually do. Think about a dish, and that's at least what I learned, in the French restaurant, and the ideas. So then you take it from there. I mean, you've got to also you've got to work your imagination. That the chef cannot teach you everything. If you're not teachable and you don't want to explore or go open a book or go keep notes and think, okay, what's in season? You've got to do that. You've got to think, okay, what's in season? You got to go and look, study. It's not. He'll teach you the how to poach things or how to cook the fish, and you practice with it. But now you've got to go for yourself and do more practice. You've got to go and see what's in season. You've got to see, okay, you know what? Can I make a sauce with this vegetable or no? If I blend it, is it going to the seeds? If I don't take out the seeds, you're going to look bad. I mean, this type of things that you've got to think. Like you look at a product and say, what is this and what does it taste? Does it have seeds? Doesn't have seeds? Is it citrusy? Is it rich? What kind of What does it taste like? And then you pair it up with a protein that matches that, or you vice versa. You pick up the protein first, and then you know what particular fish tastes like, and you say, you know what, I think that this vegetables and this sauce that would go well, and try it. It your imagination cannot stop working. If your imagination stopped working in the kitchen, pretty much you're kind of done. You're kind of going to stay in the same level. You're not going to be able to grow, and you have to take risks. I cannot stress this enough. When I did my restaurant, I felt free to do when I take risks, and I said, let's see what happens, because my goal was not the money at first. Like, I just said, if I make the amount of money that I was making, I was working for somebody else, I'll be happy. If I start, I make that, I'll be happy. I just want to explore like new things, new ideas. I want the guy that worked with me, I gave him freedom to. He said, how about we do this? I said, let's try it. Let's see what we made it. We tried it. We loved it. People loved it. Sometimes we tried something we thought as cooks, as chefs, was good, and we put it out there, and people were not that used to it. It didn't go well, so we took it off. But I mean, something was very good. We put it in a menu. Some people, we made it special. Sometimes we'd make it as, let's try it. People loved it. You know what? Next season, when we change the menu, that's going into the menu. Done. Put it in a note. You always got to keep notes. Always got to write things down. I don't care how smart you are. As I've seen so many people, they don't write anything. They don't have like what they want to achieve, even though they come work there. Sometimes they have no. I mean, it's just like just rolling along with no idea what they want to get out of this, where they want to be. They don't ask any questions. That bothers me. Like, you're not curious about anything. Like, you're just standing there. Like, you're not. Doesn't. You don't have anything to ask, like, to what, hey, how, what about this, like, how did you make that thing? I want to learn about this, especially about this product, or this type of. Nah, man, it was just it was a little bit disheartening to see so many people trying to come into work, and especially even people who thought they wanted to go to culinary school.
Mm-hmm.
It was. It didn't look good. It didn't look good to what I've seen, But there was some that two people, I think, that I remember that really wanted to learn something, and they, that they were asking questions. They were interested, to know more. It's very important. I mean, I don't know. I think it's very important. Maybe this is the way I was brought up, and maybe that's my way of doing things. And maybe there's other ways out there that I don't know. I don't want to make this the only way, but it's worked for me. It's worked for me very well. And in my experience in life, it's you put so many long hours in that kitchen. Frankly speaking, it's physically demanding, and sometimes you're not going to remember everything. Sometimes you're going to forget. So that's why you go open your notes. You open a book sometimes, maybe get a new idea. You don't necessarily have to do that. You see a picture of a food, you get inspired, you know what I mean? And say, you know what, I want to make a plate look like that, maybe. And that's what it should come down to. But I'll say this about what I said, that I was not looking to make money. what I realized was that if you have to do it genuinely, though, in your heart, inside, you really do one thing that you just want to explore, and you want to see how it will go. You want to create something new. Once you do that genuinely, like with like it, a lot of people, I have this a hobby. This is what I love doing, enjoy doing. But deep inside is about the money. Deep in, it's the money. And then they're like, I think some of them, I think they're lying to themselves. Like, oh, that's what I love doing. No, you're really deep inside. You wake up one day in the mirror and look yourself in the mirror. Wake up in the morning and look yourself in the mirror and say, is this what I really like want to do? Number one, and think that I want to do this to make something different from what's around around in this area. I want to make something that I enjoy doing, make a dish that has never been done before. Once you have that deep in you, and forget the money, just make something beautiful. When people look at it and say, oh, it looks beautiful, I've never had something like this in my life. That should be your main goal. You've got to literally forget. When I mean literally, like deep inside, you got to forget about the money. Once you do that, I guarantee you the money will come. Like, you'll be so shocked. And that's what happened with me. And that's, I'll leave it at that. But that's exactly what happened.
Gotcha. I mean, that's awesome.
From my experience, that's what that's what I exactly experienced. And I've talked to a lot of people who've gone through the same thing and as exactly same idea, pretty much.
Well, I mean, it's clearly working for you. I mean, since, I saw multiple, like, your organization is consistently getting recognition for being a top voice in the restaurant world, or, being a positive representative of what an independent ownership looks like in the restaurant world. I mean, as far as like in 2019, when you received one of the top 15 U restaurants, like, what do you think? Is it just that? Is it the fact that, the quality of the food was first, focusing on everything was first? But I mean, even with that, like you said previously, you can't cook every meal, right? Like, you can't make every dish. So I'm really, really curious also, what is your recruitment kind of like? Like, how do you pick your team members? And then from there, how do you train them? Like, because it seems like when you're so focused on the dish and the quality being top notch, it seems like it would be really, really hard to be semi hands off and letting other people, create a dish. So I'm really curious about, how do you find like the right candidates to work with you? And then how do you train those people into really being studs in the kitchen?
Two guys that they came when I opened the place. They came with me. It was they were coming to help me on their day off to prep. One of them said, I've worked in the other place where we worked in the other place. Said, I've been there for too long. I need something new. I need to change. And I said, look, you've been there for a while. I feel also a little uncomfortable that you come here with me. I've worked there, and he goes, well, I've dedicated 11 years of my life to the place, and I've learned a lot. I've gotten great discipline, but to what you're telling me, what you want to do here, I feel that I want to be part of that exploration and let's do new ideas and more of a risk taking in a way. So he liked that idea also. And then he joined me, and then he got his cousin to join me. His cousin then got his brother, who used to work in a place making pasta. So it was like there were two brothers and a cousin, which is great guys, and we're still together, in the restaurant. They're all working still with me, after 5 years. Now, you mentioned like how they also had some experience, some of these guys, but I'll tell you a version of what we go through when somebody doesn't have experience. These guys already had some experience, and They had a little bit of, for example, one of the main guys that was with me, the other chef that is with me, he's very talented. He's from Mexico. And in fact, now I want to point out that me and him are partner in a Mexican restaurant. He's from Acapulco. He made a menu. We're partners 50-50 in the old location, and we had Jessica's restaurant because we moved. I don't know if you know. We made a Mexican restaurant there. He's partner with me there, and very hardworking. These guys are very hardworking guys, especially Roberto over there. He was in the beginning with me, so he was the idea of feeling kind of, he felt free, you know what I'm saying? Like I was not on top of him all the time. And I said, let's do something that people will enjoy. Let's do something different. Let's explore an ideas, and he had something that, what if we do this and that? And I said, all right, let's do this. Maybe we tweak that or we add that. And I would put sometimes my thoughts, sometimes I would say anything, and he would just make the dish. And we put it out there, and it was great. I would come up with an idea, would work it together, and he goes, "Well, let's do it, and let's see what's happening," But when we said that, let's do it. Also, we looked at the dish, so we made sure that these vegetables go. I mean, it kind of could go well with this. It's now we don't know about the sauce, but let's make the sauce. Let's try it and let's put it together and see if it goes. I mean, nothing is set in stone. It's a kitchen. Nothing is set in stone when you're trying to do seasonal menu and to explore new ideas. You've got to try it, taste it, and go with it. And see what happens. You must love it. You must like it. Will people love it or like it? Honestly, you don't know. Your palate is different than everybody else's palate. My palate is different. I like to eat particular foods. I eat anything, but your idea of sweet and citrus is different than my idea of sweet and citruses, and sweet texture and citrusy texture. Excuse me, on a dish. So it's a palate thing. It's something that you develop slowly, and you explore new ideas, and that's what you do. So now, when we had new people that didn't have much experience, the reason that helped us, focus on controlling the quality and doing this, because the menu is small. The menus was small. We had six dishes, 6 dinners, and then 3 pastas at one point, 2 salads, 1 soup, 3-4 appetizers, not sometimes even 3 appetizers. It was very limited menu. So that allows you to focus only on those dishes and make sure that you taste everything before the service. Everything is controlled, looked at. When you train someone, you say that you show them yourself first, and then you have them do it. Once you do that 2-3 times, and you see the person, it knows how to cut something, then we give them another chance. Start from the very first step. If the person can't even hold the knife, then we have to tell that person to come in on a slow day, for example, to come in on Tuesday lunch, that it's nothing crazy. We put them in a corner, and we have him know how to hold the knife, cut onions, cut celery, just chop, just do chopping. There's no precise way of cutting. Just do regular chopping until they get a hang of it. And sometimes teaching somebody from the beginning is very, very difficult. It's very, very difficult. It takes a lot of time, takes a lot of money. We have had situations where somebody comes in and says, I just want to learn. I don't want to get paid. So we do that. We've done that, and I'm open to do that if somebody, you know, wants to do that. But the process of getting someone that we always hired people with some type of experience. So they know how to hold a knife, they know how to cut vegetables, they know they know like the basics that you when you go to the bathroom you take off your apron. You know, they know when you walk through the kitchen, you talk that you're behind somebody. Somebody would turn with a hot pan and hit you in the face or arm or leg or whatever. So those are the very basic things that we teach. Like, you know, when you're behind the stove, you must make sure you notify the person. When there is lunchtime, you must clean up your station before you go into your lunchtime. So there's things that we talk as we work. As we work, we talk. And the things that are more importantly that would affect the dish, it's me or the other guy that's been with me all this time does it and nobody else. So, and then we have a guy that does the meat and the fish. He's been he's been doing that for a very long time. But even people that we have become later on that they wanted to learn that, and they stay and watch the guy first, and then they do the very basic, like cut a chicken breast in the beginning, learning how to hold the breast and then slice so you don't cut your hand. The teaching is part of to be safe first. You know, like when you hold a tool, any tool in the kitchen is to hold it properly, to be safe first, to put it in a clean environment. Second, to have a bucket of clean towels with your bleach and water next to you. You sharpen the knife first before you cut anything. Those are the steps, the basic steps that you teach. And then, because without those, you most likely you will hurt yourself or cut yourself, because if the knife is not clean or sharp, then it's worse. You can cut yourself. A knife that is perfectly sharp, there's less chances you cut yourself. So, dirty environment. You have to use the chances are that you could get caught by the health department. Chances are that you can get somebody sick, and that's the most important. That's the most dangerous part than getting caught by the health department. Get somebody sick. So those are the very basics that when somebody starts, we teach, that are rules. Now, you're working in an environment where the kitchen is small. You're working always around us. You're like in a circle of us. You're not going outside the circle. So if I don't look at you, the other guy is going to look at you. And then they all say something, you know, listen, that's not how you do it. Let me show you. You cut it this way. The reason is you tell them why you do that. You tell somebody to do something, you tell them why you do it. You sharpen the knife because you could get cut with a knife that is not sharp, and you work with a clean environment because the reason is because you can get somebody sick, you can get yourself sick, the crew sick. You touch pork and you forget to wash your hands, then it's a big problem. You know, there's bacteria all over the place. So there's a reason. You tell them the reason why you do it, and the process, and that's how the process works from step one. And they're always in a circle of us working there. They're not being let alone. You know, they're not working alone. So till they get a hang of it well, that we see, okay, that he's following the steps, then we don't look at it as much after that. So he's been there for 2-3 months now. He's following the steps. He's doing the necessary things, the basics. Now let's move on to the next step. We get that person. We move it to the more difficult part of it. Put it in front of the stove. We teach them how long the pan needs to stay in a hot, you know, in a stove before you put the oil on. Otherwise, you'd burn the oil. and so forth, you know. So it's even those little things, but matter in terms of coming in the outcome of the product, you know. Like you use the pen will get sticky if it's not hot enough. We've seen guys that come in to say I have experience, and they've done some of the very basic stuff wrong, and you wonder now the whole that experience that this dude had, what was that? Like, what kind of experience was it? So it's really important to actually studying a little bit of your craft, like your knowledge. It's you must absorb as much as you can. Otherwise, you'll have difficulty later on in your job. You work for somebody or you open your own. If it's worse, if you open your own and you make these things, the mistakes, it's terrible, you know. So people are not going to respect you. That's for sure. So it's very, very crucial. You want to be successful, you've got to put the work, you've got to learn, you've got to study, you've got to hang around people that are supportive. But yeah, that's what we do. And the small menu allows us to train people in more efficient way. That's my main goal. It's very practical. Everything stays fresh. It rotates faster. Mm-hmm. Too many things in the menu. I don't care what anybody says. There's too many things in the menu, a la carte menu. One day you're going to sell 3,500 ducks or whatever, and then you're not going to sell lamb. Everybody that night wants duck, or everybody that night wants ribeye. The rest is being stuck there. Imagine if you have so many items, one item is going to stay there for like 3-4 days. That is not freshness, my friend. It just simply doesn't work that way. If you want to talk about keeping things fresh and organized, but that's what allows us to go through this process of people that want to come in and work, and how we train is on top of the practical things. I give them a bit of a speech, like, and say, it's not like it's really like encouraging words, and not really like being it's like more, how to say, like it's telling them that, look, if you this is the very basic I want from you. For example, come on time, dress, bring your uniform, come clean, respect your coworkers, and the rest will teach you. So, but those are the basics. You don't follow those basics, you won't be able to work here. And we'll give you one chance, second chance, but that's all the chances you get. So I don't know if that's, that's what I tell them in the beginning, and I tell them up in the front. So you do those, the rest will go walk through and see how much you really, can handle it. Also, you have to see if you like it or not. Like you come in and you don't like it, it's not for you. We totally get that too. So it's nothing. You know what I mean? So that's, yeah.
You put out a lot of great information there. Like, honestly, as far as the recruiting and the onboarding part, I really, really liked, I'll just hit a couple of the really parts that I found like really valuable. One was that you started with 4 people that were like already experienced. I think that alone, you already have your core group. You don't necessarily have to train them. You might have to touch base on like the specifics of your specific dish, but they already know like the basics. So you have your core that you're starting with. Another one that I really liked is meeting all the new hires where they're at, right? So, if I'm going to train someone, I can't expect them to have XYZ knowledge, and they actually aren't even at, A. Like, we have to go through the full spectrum, meet where they're at, and then slowly get them up to speed. A small menu, having it very specific. 1, helps with, food management. 2, it helps lower cost. 3, It makes it easier to train because they're doing the same things on repeat. Love it. Having that specific kind of like upfront contract there where you're like, hey, 1, 2, 3, 4, these are the rules. these are the non-negotiables. Like if you are not meeting these requirements, then that's it. You know, you get two chances, but holding that accountability, I think, is huge. In my opinion, that's probably one of the biggest things when it comes to restaurants is not having the accountability or kind of going too far on the accountability and like not meeting the team members where they're at. So I love it. Everything you said was absolutely great. And I think they're all really actionable things that any restaurant can adopt. Like anyone could use those and it not be hard, not be very difficult to implement, just understanding exactly how you want to implement it and then pushing it through from there.
Point that I missed. I'm sorry. Another point that I missed. And now is also you got to have good time with them too. Do you know with your work? You can't just walking in every day that they got to think that they're working in this miserable place and with miserable person and yells and screams all the time. That's really wrong. I mean, there's ways you can. I'm not trying to teach like softness here because I'm by far not soft, or I'm actually a little bit of in terms of when it comes to work ethic and all. I'm old school, but I think that people cope well if you talk to them like human beings, you know, and at the same time you tell them, look, I'm patient enough. You're getting your chances. I really liked helping you or teaching you this, but you've got to show also a little bit of interest. You don't show interest, then I don't think we're both wasting our time. And you've got to say you got to say it just like that. You've got to really be like open, direct to them. And also another thing I want to point out about the menu is also you've got to choose quality products. Also, you can't put it on your workers that they're not doing the right thing or they're cooking it wrong when you get some crappy products in. And then now you tell your workers, they're doing something wrong. No, maybe you're doing something wrong because you getting some crappy products. Now there's workers, I'm sure, that they don't care and they don't handle it right. Absolutely, I agree. But you start from yourself first. You want to show something, you start from you. You want people to keep notes on you, you've got to have the notebook there, yours too. You have to have yours there too. They got to see you keeping the notes. They got to see you keeping a list for tomorrow, what you have to prep. At this day, I take a piece of paper and I make a list what I have to prep for tomorrow. So, and everybody else does it now. Everybody else in mine does it now. In their station, I got to prep this. So they come in the morning, from waking up. It's going to be a long day. And I'll I always give them whatever they want to eat, drink their coffee. You've got to provide also these conditions for your people. You can't just expect your crew to function well when that's the reason we close during lunchtime. And then those are the points that I wanted to mention. We close at lunchtime so people can go to the bathroom. They sit down for a few minutes. They can unwind, have their meal like a human being. It makes a big difference when they come back for the night shift, to perform. They'll perform for you better. And it's good for their well-being, but also they will perform. It's like a win-win situation. You've got to provide the condition. It's like the soldiers when they go to war. If you don't have a good captain and you don't have the right tools, you can have a good captain, but there's no tools. You fight with broomsticks, you're going to lose. Even though you're a good captain, but you don't have tools, you don't provide the system, you don't have certain rules, you're going to lose the battle. It's the same thing. It's very simple idea. It's not something that I have invented. It is just look at some very basic things in life, like an army, for example, like look at the examples that people have given in the past. There's a lot of people in culinary world that laid the foundation for you. So there's just only you've got to go and look. But like I said, it's about like we also have to have fun with for some of these people it's about the money mostly, but there is some out there who really care, but mostly it's really about money. We have to have a good time with your workers. You've got to go and when the Christmas come, you got to give Christmas. I always do Christmas bonuses, end of year. Christmas, end of year bonuses, a little Christmas gift with a card is an incentive. And I've told them from the beginning, whoever performs during the year, whoever performs better, gets better bonus. It's simple as that. You perform better, you're hustling more, you get more money for Christmas, for the end of the year. It's very simple. I mean, it's, you want more better. And that's what I'll give them anyway, a Christmas gift, but I tell them I'll give you more if you do more. You know what I mean? Like, you work, you give, you put in your work, you more money you're gonna make. I'm gonna give you more money. That's all. It's very simple. But I don't want to make that money part like the thing that it's, oh, you've got to, because of the money, that's why I want you. No, I want you to work because you should, enjoy and have a good time while you work. We do birthday celebration for all the employees. We get a cake and we have good time. We do a cheers with champagne once in a while for these occasions. We take holiday breaks. Thanksgiving we don't work. Christmas Day, New Year's 1st and 2nd. So you've got to do also these things and show your people that work with you that it is not only about me. It's about the whole team, and we have to make a balance of how we work. But also, when it's time to work, they work. It's time it gets busy, everybody's moving, and that's what you need. So anyway, yep. That's the point I wanted to point out also that I missed.
No, I love it. I absolutely love it. I love that employee relations portion of it. Like, because you're absolutely right. You don't want money to be the only reason they're working hard. Like, they need to want to work hard. The money is just an additional incentive to that. So I actually think that you said it in a fantastic way, honestly, as far as like how to keep the team members engaged, different ideas that people can use. And so now I'm curious, what is the next big goal? Like, what's the next big dream for you right now?
I honestly have two. Right now, I have two kids. One's 5, one's 3, and I'd really just, I want to do what I'm doing, and it's working. I enjoy it. I don't have any. Next probably will be just to learn more about the industry as I go in, and finally do maybe write a simple cookbook. But my first goal is to really spend time with my children. I think they're in an age where my current goal, that's what it is. I really want to spend more time with my kids. They can learn more about me, who I am, and I want to be next to them, to play with them, to nurture them. That's my main goal. In terms of profession, maybe write a book later, in 3-4 years from now, and make sure that the restaurant is doing well the way it's doing, going in the same direction. And people who, another goal that I'd love to see happen, that I always had it, but now I think it's more achievable, that people who work with me, maybe they expand later on and they do something, whatever their hobby is, or their goal was to do something on their own, to do it well and use this experience for that. And that's it makes me happy when I see someone develop in the next level what they want to do, and I was the part of it, that I was part, and hopefully an inspiration that they did it. I think makes me actually happy. I don't have goals opening other restaurants or doing, like, expanding. I think it just loses its emotional connection, its touch, its soul. From the beginning when I opened the restaurant, so it's for me it's enough. I just want to enjoy my family. I don't need to be do other things, or do expand in areas that in restaurants ideas, because this one got popular, and going opening all kinds of restaurants all over the place. It's not it. I don't find that healthy, to be honest with you. It will never have the same touch and the same buzz that this one had, and that's for many reasons. I don't have the same physical energy that I had. We're doing this for like 12, 13 years now. And you need to be there. And I'm the type of person that if I'm not there, if I don't look at it, and I have a hard time thinking I'm somewhere else, and then this guy is having another thing going on there, and did he put salt or he didn't put salt? So it drives me crazy, to be honest with you. So, but frankly speaking, it's my goals are to really master what I am doing even better. That's what I really want. That's my ultimate goal is to master what I'm doing really well. And in the end, hopefully I can be an inspiration for others. Maybe, like I said, like write a book. And hopefully when I meet some people on the street, they say, I still remember that soup, or I still remember that porcha, and that makes me happy. And I think I've fulfilled my goal, and I'm content with it.
That's awesome. Yeah. I love it. Armen, thank you so much. We got to do this again. I love the conversation. Yeah, training development, recruitment selection, employee relations. I think, quality control. I think we talked about a ton of fantastic points. So if you stuck with us this long, I truly appreciate it. If you like the show, please share it with somebody. And if you're feeling a little crazy, maybe share it with somebody.